Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to part 2 of making this cute cactus. In this part we're going to be finishing it off with this little cactus here using the surface crochet method, and we're going to be making these 2 flowers. If you haven't already, make sure to watch part 1 so that you can get the pot and your bigger cactus done. Let's get into it. Here are the materials that you'll need. Again, we need our 8-ply yarn or whatever yarn that you use for the first part of cactus. And I'm using these 2 colours for the flower and this colour for the little cactus. My 2.5mm hook, my stitch needle, my scissors and my stuffing. And then if you like to use one, you can also use a little stitch marker. To start off our little cactus, we're going to be doing 6 single crochet in a magic ring. So starting off our magic ring like usual, getting our grip, and now I'm going to be chaining 1 and doing 6 single crochet. Once we've finished that, I'm going to untangle this little end here and pull it to cinch in our magic ring. And for the next round, I'm going to be doing 6 increases, so 2 single crochet in every stitch from the last round. Going into my first one, and then we'll pull through, grabbing my stitch marker and securing it like that. And now I'm going to be doing another single crochet into the same stitch and 2 single crochet in every stitch around. That is the end of round 2, and you should have a total of 12 single crochet. Now we're going to be doing 1 single crochet increase. So 1 single crochet in the first loop, and now I'm going to be doing 2 single crochet in the next stitch. At the end of round 3, you should have a total of 18 stitches, and round 4 we're going to be doing 2 single crochet increase. Alright, we're at the end of round 4 now. And now for the next 5 rounds, we're going to be doing single crochet around. So 1 single crochet in every stitch. After 5 rounds of single crochet around, this is what the little cactus is looking like. And for the next round, we're going to be doing 2 single crochet decrease. Also, for the last round, you should still have 24 stitches. So to do our 2 single crochet decrease, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next one after that. And now, using the front loops, I'm going to do an invisible decrease, going into the next front loop, and then the front loop after that, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. And now I'm going to repeat that all the way around, 2 single crochet decrease. Okay, that is the end of the round, and for the next round we're going to be doing 1 single crochet decrease. Okay, so this is the last round of our little cactus, and you should have a total of 12 single crochet after your round of single crochet decrease. And to finish off, I'm just going to be slip stitching into the very next stitch, which is the first stitch of the next round. Just doing a slip stitch like that, and I've already cut my yarn, but I've left a fairly long tail for sewing. And I'm just going to kind of chain 1 and pull through my hook like that to secure the end. Now that we've finished the main little circle part of our cactus, we're going to add these little ridges to make it look a little bit more realistic. But you can always leave it without the ridges if you just want to sew on the cactus like this. I still think it looks really nice. So to make these little ridges, we're going to be doing surface crochet. And how we do that is we're basically just single crocheting into these stitches in our rounds. And you can do this in an orderly fashion, have it like an even space between each ridge. But I like to do it kind of random and make it a little bit unique. But again, you can do it however you want. And you can also choose to stuff the cactus before you do the surface crochet to see the shape of the cactus. Or you can leave it how I like to do it and just have it unstuffed so that you can sort of secure the ends inside the plushie before you're stuffing it. Now, to start off our surface crochet, I'm going to be choosing any random stitch from the first round. So you can see where the magic ring is because it's actually just a little circle at the top of your cactus. And I'm just going to be going under and back over any stitch from this first round of 6 single crochet in a magic ring. And I'm going to be grabbing my new piece of yarn here in the same color, and I'm going to be pulling it through with my hook back through the other side, so you have a little loop on your hook. And I'm going to leave this end a little bit longer so I can tie it inside the cactus, and that's kind of what it looks like. And now to secure it, I'm going to chain 1, nice and secure. And now I'm going to be single crocheting straight down my cactus. And to do that, I'm going to be inserting my hook into the same little stitch that we just came up through. And I'm going to be doing a single crochet. And now all the way down, you can kind of see where there's a bit of a line of these single crochet. And I'm just going to be following this line straight down. So to do that, I'm going to be doing a single crochet in the next stitch. And then you can see that this one is the one underneath that stitch. So I'm going to be inserting my hook under and back over, yarning over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And we can see that it's creating a little ridge here. And I'm just going to continue that all the way around. We're now up to the 5 rounds of single crochet around. So you can kind of just see it's like a straight line straight down, and I'm going to end right after this bit. So I'm just single crocheting in every stitch down this little trail, I guess, all the way down to the bottom of my little cactus. And again, if you want to make it zigzaggy, or if you want to make it go that way, you can just go into the stitch above or below it to make it a bit unique, however you would like it to be. So now, as you can see, I'm at the bottom of my little line of surface crochet, where there's just this stitch here that is from the last round. And I'm going to go into that stitch and then back into the one that was before that stitch. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And that is the end of our first little line of surface crochet. That's what it's looking like. And now I'm going to finish off just by cutting a little bit of a yarn tail and pulling through with my hook. I'm going to grab my hook into the cactus and let it come out just where my first yarn tail is, where I started off my round. Pull it under, and now I'm going to secure the 2 ends together with a double knot. That is how the first little line of surface crochet is looking. So now, if you would like to make it symmetrical, you can do another one straight down like so on the other side, and then basically just half and half again. So once I do one down that side, I'm going to half that line by having one here and split it into 4, and then you can split it into 8 and just keep going like that. So I'm going to be going straight into the one directly opposite my last stitch, grabbing my yarn, I'm going to pull up a loop, chain 1, and single crochet into the same stitch that I've just gone into. And then it's quite easy to see if you just fold it straight in half. You can just go straight down this line into every stitch all the way down. So single crochet in all of those stitches. That is my second line of surface crochet, and as you can see, these are directly opposite each other. And this little gap here, don't worry about it, because this is where we're going to be putting our flower on the top. So cutting a decent yarn tail, finishing off, and then remember to use your hook to grab this yarn tail to the inside. Make sure you don't lose it in your cactus, and then you're going to double knot that with our end, and yeah, do that all the way around. I'm going to do the next one with you, and then you can just do again like half and then half, and do as many as you would like. If you would like it to be more dense, or if you would like larger spaces like that, just do the surface crochet according. I'm going to go in half straight in the middle between these two ridges. Grabbing my yarn tail again, I'm going to pull it through, leave a fairly decent piece there to tie it on at the end. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to fold this in half so that both of these ridges are centered, and then single crocheting all the way down. Definitely makes it much easier when you fold it, because you can see the line that you're working in. I'm up to the last stitch, so I'm going to just be going through this stitch here, single crochet, and then finishing off the tail, pulling through, and then using my hook to grab my yarn tail here. I'm trying not to get it lost, there we go. And then I'm going to knot these together. And my next surface crochet line is going to be on this opposite side. When you get up to the stage where you have 4 little ridges, you might notice that the round of single crochet in the magic ring has kind of run out of stitches to start off in. So now basically what we're going to be doing is working into the stitch below that, which is actually the round of single crochet increase. And that is how we're going to make sure that our ridges aren't on top of each other, if that makes sense. So I'm going to start off my next one, and I'm going to have a total of 8 ridges when I finish, because I'm going to half each of these little sections. I've now finished the 8 ridges on my little cactus, and I think it's looking pretty good. It is a bit deflated and sad right now, and it looks a bit like a jellyfish with all of these ends. So now we're going to be stuffing it. Before we stuff the little cactus, I'm just pushing in all of these little pieces and making sure to leave out this long tail as well. And now I'm going to just stuff it with my fingers, making sure to really get all of those little ends inside the cactus. Just like the pot, I'm trying to make this little cactus as firm and so structured as possible, so that it looks more realistic and not deflated. So putting as much stuffing as I can possibly get into it, and yeah. Okay, here's what it's looking like, all stuffed. I think it looks pretty good. And before we make the flowers, I'm actually going to sew my 2 cactuses onto the pot. Now that we have our 3 pieces, I'm going to sew the cactuses onto the pot. Feel free to skip this section while I show you how to sew them on. I'm basically just going to be sewing them exactly like this, but you can always change the order and have them facing different ways or however you would like them on your pot. So starting off with my needle threaded through my yarn tail on my larger cactus, I'm going to put my cactus where I want it on the pot, and I'm just going to insert my hook under the middle stitch, pretty much right in the middle, a little bit to the left, under and then back over the next stitch. So this is kind of what it's looking like. I want my pot facing that way, or my cactus facing that way. And then basically to sew on, I'm going to weave in and out through the cactus and then through the pot. So coming back into the cactus in my next stitch, you want to make sure that you don't leave too many gaps, otherwise you have the issue of stuffing coming out and there will just be like a hole in your cactus. So I've gone from the inside out of the cactus. Now I'm going to insert my hook into a stitch pretty close to where my last one was. Go back in, and then now that my yarn is coming out here, I'm going to go back into the cactus, coming from the inside towards the outside. You can also do it the other direction. I just find it a little bit easier this way. And I forgot to make a note, but you're gonna wanna make sure that this fold, like where the seam is, that is facing the back of your cactus. So just continuing, weaving in and out. Okay, there is still a little bit left because I have a couple stitches to go in, but just before I finish up with the sewing, I'm just going to stuff the bottom of the cactus a little bit just because we lost some of that stuffing as we were sewing, and make sure it sits nice and upright and you're happy with the overall shape of it. And yeah, I have 2 more stitches to go into, so I'm going to go back. Before I was coming under and over, but I'm just going to go straight into towards the middle of the cactus and then come back out, and then repeat that for the next one. When there's a smaller gap, it's just a bit easier to do it that way. Bringing my yarn somewhere random in the cactus, make sure you don't do it over this side because this is where we're going to sew our second cactus, and that is the first one all sewn on. Now we're going to sew on the little cactus, and we're basically just going to do the same thing. You might have to push in your pot a little bit to kind of see what you're doing since it's a slightly different shape at the bottom and it's much smaller. So just threading my needle and inserting my hook. If there's a side you prefer, make sure it's facing the front. I'm going to face that bit to the front. and I'm going to insert this into my cactus a little bit further back than into the pot, sorry, a little bit further back than the last cactus, and bring it up like that, and then going from the inside out of this cactus, making sure to work into the very next stitch. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to get it in there, or just try your best to get into every stitch, but it may be a little bit tricky at times. And yeah, I'm going to just be repeating that all the way around. Alright, so I just brought that last end in the same little stitch where my other end is. And now we can secure it by tying these two ends together. My yarn has gotten caught on here. Just cut that off. So here's what it's looking like. It doesn't have to be the neatest thing as long as it's nice and secure. I'm just going to cut off this bit of stuffing. Make sure I don't cut the actual cactus. Okay, that will do. I'm just going to push it down and make sure you pull both ends nice and tight and double knot them to secure it. I'm going to cut off those ends and I'm going to use my hook to pull the ends into the cactus. And here is how it's looking with the two cactuses. I think it looks really good. So the next thing that I'm going to do is make the flowers. To start off the flowers, we're going to do 5 single crochet in a magic ring. In the next round, we're going to be working in the back loops only to make our petals. So this round is going to be worked in the back loops and the next round is going to be worked in the front loops. And that's how we get like our ruffle multi-layered kind of effect. So to work in the back loops, just grabbing my yarn, I'm going to first slip stitch into the first stitch of the magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my first stitch. Making sure to go in the back loop and not mistaking it for the front loop. I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to do a double crochet into the same back loop, chain 2 again, and do a slip stitch into that back loop. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the next back loop. So this is my front loop of the next stitch. This is the back loop. It's a little bit tangled there. Okay, and now I'm going to slip stitch and chain 2. And I'm going to do a double crochet in that same stitch, chain 2, and slip stitch into the back loop again. Mine isn't a very good example because it is very tangled right now. Okay, so that is the second one and we have 3 more left. This is my next back loop and I'm going to slip stitch into that. Next I'm going to chain 2, double crochet into that same back loop, chain 2 and slip stitch, and repeat that 2 more times. This is what my flower looks like after the round worked in the back loops only. I did redo this little section because mine got very tangled with the yarn that I'm using, but hopefully yours is all good and not tangled. And the next round, like I said, we're going to be working in the front loops only. And we can see here that these are the front loops because they're kind of just sticking out a little bit more. So you can see this last one here. This is the stitch that I've worked in, and there's one going straight across the front of it. Same with this one, this one, this one, this one, and then this is the front loop of that stitch. So I'm just going to start by slip stitching into that stitch. Again, this yarn is very easily tangled. I am I'm just repeating the exact same thing that I did in the back loops, just in the front loops. So slip stitch, chain 2, double crochet, slip stitch in the same stitch, and then repeat. That was the first front loop. Now we're working in the second one. I just finished my last petal and this is what it's looking like. It kind of ruffles up if you just leave it, and it'll make a super duper cute flower. So we're going to repeat the same exact steps with another color or the same color to make our second flower, and I will see you once you've done that. I'm all finished both flowers, and now it's time to secure them onto our cactus. This is the very last step. So to do this, you can either sew them on, so put it on your stitch needle and weave it in and out the top. But I just like to use my hook to pull the yarn firstly underneath the flower. So this is where I finished off at the top, and you can see the 2 layers here. So I'm going to reach my hook underneath through the middle of the flower and bring that yarn end down the bottom. And now to secure it, I'm just going to have one yarn end on either side. So to do that, I'm just going to pull one of the ends through a petal on one side. And now with the other petal, I'm going to pull it onto the other side. You can do it through one of the petals or just anywhere random on that side of the flower. So now I have one end on this side and one end on the left. And I'm going to use my hook to grab both ends into the same little opening. So using my hook, pulling it through on that end. And now just kind of flatten it a little bit more and do the same, coming out somewhere on this side and pulling the end into that gap, making sure you pull tight. And now we can tie it to secure it. All tied, and I'm going to connect the next flower onto the other cactus. So doing the same thing, bringing this end from the top where I finished off underneath, and you can just bring it straight to where our other side is, like so. And now bringing this end through one of the petals on the other side, so that we have one yarn end on each side, placing it on top of our little cactus, bringing my hook through and pulling the yarn back to that spot, doing the same thing with the other end and tying it together. Here is what it's looking like. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you enjoyed it and like this video, and comment down below any ideas of future tutorials that you'd like to see, as well as any feedback. Bye!